Mr. Colstead?
Here.
Mr. Granata? Mr. Nielsen? Mr. O'Shea?
Here.
Mr. Powers?
Here.
And for the budget.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, apologize for the late start.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We will beat you later.
I'll be looking for approval of the special meeting minutes of March 12th and the board meeting minutes of March 19th.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. O'Shea?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. Director's report, Evelyn?
Yes, the front office remodel, hopefully you've seen it as you came in, it's almost complete. The lower section of the countertop, when it was brought in, did not fit and has to be redone, so we're looking at probably Monday or Tuesday of next week. Because the countertop couldn't be installed, we could not install the new sliding window either. The electrician will be back, he's repairing two faulty, he's repairing the emergency light, which we took down, that had to be replaced. And he's also doing some repair of some ballasts in this room, which were not part of the contract at all, but last week we had no lights in here at all, so two of the ballasts were burned out. I also prepared for you an expense sheet showing total expenses for the entire project, which I think we did pretty well with what we had approved and what we spent. I'm very happy with the outcome. The 2015-16 ordinance, budget ordinance, you have a copy of that at your place. Last week, we looked at the budget in an Excel format and talked about a couple of changes that had been made from the temporary budget. So this is the final budget. Once voted on tonight, Mr. Powers will have to sign the certification sheet. We'll send it over to Joe McDonald to sign off as the treasurer, and then Med will file it with the county. There's a couple of other additions to the funding that we talked about last week, funding in the director's report. Last week we talked about the American backhoe, the cost of removing the stockpile dirt at Minus, and new fencing windscreen, I should say, for Minus Field. A couple of other things that have come up. I finally got a proposal. Do-All Fence came out and repaired the backstop on Field 3. As I think I've shown you in the past, several sections of the overhang were hanging. That required them to come in and take the whole overhang down. He put in put pipes inside of the poles, and then he welded the whole thing. I had asked, we had talked, I think 2 months ago when we started with this project, to have them inspect and possibly redo the other 4 fields. I took some pictures that I can show you. Field 4 and 5 is obviously the overhang is bending in certain spots, so it's just a matter of time. So he sent a proposal for the 4 other fields over there, which again includes taking the whole overhang down, refabricating it, and welding it into place, and the cost for the other 4 fields is $12,780. At this time, I'm not really happy about spending that, but I really think it's a safety concern that we can't ignore. Our fields are rented almost every weekend. If you were out there last weekend, the place was hopping Saturday and Sunday all day long, and you just don't know. Nobody was around, there was no wind that we knew of. All of a sudden one day that other backstop was just hanging there, so I would ask that you approve that. I am working with Med to investigate the job done by the original installer, but we're not ready to proceed on that just yet. The other one is the HVAC preventive maintenance contract, which we've had for the last couple of years with R&D. They are no longer in business, however, Kane, can't think of his last name, who works for R&D, has now started his own company that's called Star Mechanical. And to his credit, R&D went out of business basically before Christmas. He has now come out twice to honor the contract that we paid R&D for. So the last time, he was here the other day to do the air conditioning season inspection. And he was here about 2 hours. He changed all the belts. He does a thorough investigation of, all the system. And really I believe because of this preventive step, we haven't, thank God, had them out for any kind of emergency calls in the last couple of years. So his proposal is exactly the same price as the one we had last year with R&D, and it's for $2,200. That's for 4 visits. Pre-air, post-air, pre-heat, post-heat. And then if we need him out for anything in between, there was an automatic 10% discount on parts and services. So I would recommend those 2 things. I also have an update on the rec report for the last month. For April, we had 22 classes scheduled. 6 have been canceled as of April 15th, including the bone hunt, excellent eggs, yoga, which we let it go an extra week. We had quite a good enrollment and people seemed to enjoy it, but they didn't sign up. Outdoor yoga, we had no registration. Earth Day, no registration. American Girl Tea Party, no registration. 8 of the 22 classes were sports classes. Again, we've had great report from people who have taken the courses from this company, but didn't translate into signups. Junior flag football, 1 person. Junior basketball, 2. All-Star Super Sports, 2. Soccer, 0. Flag football, 3. Floor hockey, 0. Dodgeball, 0. All-Star Sports Instruction will not take a class without a minimum of 6. So we're not even near that. We have 1 mini basketball clinic that is going that starts, I believe it's this Sunday. The second session, with the 12 o'clock session, however, is not going. In order to promote these, we've had flyers. It's on Facebook. We have the weekly emails, the school flyers. We've handed out flyers at the teen dance and the preschool, and we've posted flyers at the park district and the library. So that's where that is. And finally, the reorganization meeting for the newly elected commissioners will be Thursday, May 14th, in the middle of what has typically been a committee meeting, but of late we've been calling those a special meeting. I know. May 14th.
What was that date?
Thursday, May 14th. Safety and security, non-public relations,
Have no report?
finance and budget. We have a budget that's going to be up for a vote, so.
I will add to the finance and budget report, we did receive the levy edit report. It has been signed and returned to the county,
Okay.
which means that we should be on course to receive our second installment of the taxes by August 1st.
Human resources, Tim.
While Tim is doing that, I will also add that Sean Howe, one of our maintenance, full-time maintenance people, has given his 2 weeks' notice. He will be leaving April 30th for replacement.
Jerry P. Gillis, citizens complimented on field conditions. Debbie Miller. I have nothing else.
Okay, under new business, looking for approval of ordinance 239 for the 2015-16.
Skipped over our return.
Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Attorney report.
The other attorney.
I'm sorry.
This now invites me to speak for a half hour, since you obviously have been going.
You've been very patient, so we'll give you all the time.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Two things, and obviously Evelyn has talked to one of those. One, there's the question of the backstop, whether there is a remedy and to what extent the remedy exists against the original contractor. Need some more information. When we get that more information, get it back to you. You evaluate what needs to be done as to that. The second item is the lease of the bus. You had considered that, approved that at, I believe, last month's meeting. There was some question as to the bus provider, as to what agreement they wanted or what commitment they wanted. We had sent over the minutes from that meeting that you now approved this evening, and with an invitation to say whatever you need, let us know so we can take a chance and review it. I suspect that the only point that I would make would be to again, as part of the stuff that you're doing today, would be to again, ratify the decision that you do want to enter into the lease with this company, subject to the signing of the lease document, and then we can work through that. The only reason that I even talked to that is because apparently there is a need to get this really moving for use sometime soon.
Yeah.
That's it. Those two items, that's it. That's all I have to say.
So if we could add that approval to new business? We approved it under funding in the director's report in March. This is a little bit cleaner. It's a 3-year lease.
Okay. Okay, I'm looking for approval of ordinance 239 for the 2015-16 budget and appropriation.
I'll
second
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. O'Shea?
Aye.
Mr. Colson?
Aye. Looking for approval of the funding in the director's report.
This is American Backhoe for 8640, Beacon Athletics for 3084, Dual Fence 12,780, and Star Mechanical for 2200.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. O'Shea?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. Looking for approval of the treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. O'Shea?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. At your place, you have the updated bill list. Looking for approval of the bill list.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. O'Shea?
Aye.
Mr. Powers?
That's you.
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. And approval of the lease for the bus,
First Midwest Transit.
Midwest Transit.
I'll make a motion.
I will second it.
Mr. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. O'Shea?
Aye.
Mr. Colstead?
Aye. And there be no further business, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You are adjourned.